Hey my freaks and geeks, it's me Messin, and today I'm going to be sharing one of my many embarrassing first player event fails. So today is going to just be starting off with setting up. It's not even going to be involving, getting in our first kind of like battle on our Friday night. No, we already messed up before we even started. So our first mistake was going on the very end of our field. So my LARP ends up renting out a farm, and so it's around like the taverns like here, then all along around, if you're facing looking this way, the tavern would be here. To the right is just a row of cabins. To the left would just be the road that you get into, and there's a very back, just a fenced off area with a little pond. So we went to around the back with the fenced off area around the pond. So we were like pushed in a corner because we were new, we were uncomfortable, we didn't really want to get really cozy with people. Also, we would be out of the way because at this LARP, though it stops at 3, there are like random encounters at night, and we've heard of people, getting spooked in their tent, and my friend's not really all about that life because she has out of the flight or fight response, she has the fight response, so she definitely would be punching someone in the face. So that was a pain because in my LARP, after kind of each event, so each kind of day event, like the major ones, you get loot. And so we ended up, you only get loot if you're part of a group, so it's really beneficial to join a group because you get more loot that way. And so we ended up forming our group Order of the Orion, or OO for short. And so since we were on, so this farmer's field was a decent size. It was about I'd say a football field and a half, maybe 2. So it was a pretty big, and they didn't want anyone in the middle due to the fact, that's where battles take place. Players at night could trip over you, etc., etc. So we ended up very far back, and oh my god, it was such a pain in the ass because of the fact every event we would have to lug to go get this. So this is our chest. It has all our loot. I've organized it a bit more. I ended up getting a drawstring bag for it. I'll show you. So this is my drawstring bag for it that I just recently found at a dollar store. And so we didn't really want to put our loot in pockets because of the fact only one guy had pockets, and he had very shallow jean pockets. And so this is, I'll show you kind of the loot we would get. So we actually have which I find really cool, is we have actual coins, as you can see, in Nero, which I find actually really nice. So we didn't have this pouch, we only had the chest. So that was a pain to lug back and forth. And we also had, why won't they come out? We have these, which are ingredients. So as you can, we don't really want to wreck these. We don't want to bend them because they get reused. You use them and then you put them back. So you want to keep them in nice condition. So that was a pain because I would always one of us would be oh, we have to go to the other side of the tent, or say we left our sword and the battle started, or we had to go get something, and at one point we ended up having to, I think we were going to drop off the chest or something, or grab something real quick, and then we come back and there's a full-blown battle going on because it took us around 2 to 3 minutes to walk to the other side and then to get back, which was that was a mess. So I would recommend staying relatively close to everyone, even if you are uncomfortable, because of the fact that it's a real pain to have to walk a long distance. So now getting into the more embarrassing stories. So this says when we were setting up our tent. So my dad made this tent sound like it was a godsend. It was sent from the heaven above, God himself kissed this tent. That's my dad, I swear, he worshipped this tent. He acted like I didn't know how to set up a tent. Just for context, you know, I was in Girl Guides for a while, so I'd been on multiple camping trips. I'd been on a ton of canoeing, like portaging trips. So like I wasn't all like yay camping, like it wasn't really, you know, my jam. But I did enjoy it, but I just wasn't enthusiastic about it. And so he acted like I never set up a tent in my whole goddamn life, even though, you know, it was just a normal pole tent. It wasn't anything special. So, fun fact about this tent, it's old. It had been repaired because my dad thought it was such a great tent that we didn't need to get a new one. They told me it could fit 4 people, like, comfortably. You'll find out later, that was a lie. And also, it's sticky. Yes, my tent was sticky because there was like pine sap all on the, like the poles were sticky for some reason. We're not, like apparently the tent got flooded, so I think that's part of the reason why, because the inside of the lining of the bag was like deteriorating, and I think it made the poles sticky, and also I think it was some pine sap and stuff. So our poles were sticky. We had this old withered tent that had been repaired a bunch, and it was supposed to fit 4 people comfortably. Needless to say, this was a nightmare tent. So when we tried to, you know, put the poles through, we were doing this in the dark, by the way, because it was around 8 o'clock Friday and like near the end of October. So, you know, the sun was setting, you know, relatively quick. It was also, you know, late at night. So we were struggling to put this thing together. It didn't help that because the poles were sticky, they would get stuck and we would have to try and like jam it through. And so at one point when so like one person was like, since there was 3 of us, there was one person who was a designated like flashlight holder. There was one person who was on one side trying to push it through and the other person who was guiding it. So we ended up, I didn't tell my dad this, but we set a couple ribs in that tent because of the fact that because the fabric was so thin and so old, we would push it through and like, and we'd go, oh no, and then we would have to try and get it. I would be like, back it up, and then we would push the pole back through, and I would try and weave it under the hole we just made, and also like it would constantly get stuck. That's why we needed 2 of us to put the poles in, because of the fact that it would get jammed and we would be like, where is it stuck? And then we would have to like, you know kind of how like, as gross as this sounds, you know when you're like, say like, girls would know this more so than guys I guess, but you know when you're wearing kind of like short shorts and it's summer and it's hot, and then you're sitting on a chair, and then, you know, you get up and, you know, like it kind of feels that kind of stick. That was kind of like trying to get my tent poles out of the casing. I was just kind of like having to pull them apart, and then I would tell my friend to push the poles through. And so eventually, out of probably like 2 times the times it should have taken to set up this tent, we set it up. And so we started to try and blow our air mattress up. So my friend ended up bringing 2 air mattresses. One was a queen size bed and the other one was just a single, because we thought, oh, it's like a 4-person tent, we'll definitely be able to fit this in. Fun fact, we found out later, no. But before we even got to blow this up, our friend Tim revealed to us, he's like, oh, where can I plug this in? I'm like, we can't use electricity. He's like, what? So at our LARP, since we were paying, there's cabining and there's tents. So cabining right now is like, at its price because it changes each year, is currently $20 more than tenting. And so, I think at the time it was $15 more. So because of the fact you're not buying a cabin, you don't get access to electricity, you know, which is only fair because you should have to pay more, like say for a cabin, choose electricity, like saying to like plug stuff in. My friend didn't know that, and he didn't bring a pump. So, our first real interaction with everyone there, you know, besides the kind of like, hi, I'm new, was running around trying to find a pump for our mattresses. So we're like, are we gonna use a tire pump? None of us have my friend, ended up, so I have a girlfriend and a guy friend, so I'm just gonna call girlfriend, because I'm not sure if they're okay with me naming them or not. So, my girlfriend, was the one who drove, and she didn't have a car pump on her, so we were just like, so we ended up kind of wandering around and being like, hi, do you have an air pump? We're looking for a pump for a bed. And especially because earlier we also didn't want to lug it from the like football field and a half to the other side, because that was also going to be a pain. So we ended up approaching the most friendly people that we knew, and we'd be like, do you have a pump? Please, our beds are blown up. Please give us an air pump. And eventually my guy friend, he ended up finding a pump from another player, because he was gonna, so I'm gonna name, I don't know what the one player was, but the original player who had the pump, I'm gonna name him Kent. So Kent's friend ended up fetching us the pump after asking Kent if it was okay. So we ended up, like, it was a foot pump, so, you know, we stomped, my guy friend, just, you know, angrily stomping on this pump, trying to blow up our bed, because originally he was trying to blow it up like a beach ball, you know, like the, you know, it clearly wasn't gonna work. And so after, we ended up blowing up the bed, we realized real quick that, the single bed was not going to fit. The queen mattress was taking up pretty much the whole tent. There was just enough for him to, you know, kind of just lay down and, you know, be kind of penguin sausaged in there. There wasn't much room to move. So we started panicking, because, you know, my parents told me, they were like, you said it was a 4-person tent. I'm like, that's what my parents told me. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Because I couldn't really set up the tent. So I was just like, I'm sorry. And so we're all freaking out, because we weren't at the comfortability level. Like, you know, we still kind of aren't. My guy friend sleeping with me and my girlfriend. And so, we had to figure out something quick. Because since it was late October, it was cold. It was relatively cold that night, actually, and so we couldn't just, you know, let him sleep on the ground also, because, you know, he would get all the, and fun fact, he didn't bring a sleeping bag also. He only brought a blanket, because he expected to be, you know, on a mattress. So we're like, are you kidding me? We're like, guy friend, why? And so we ended up bringing a bunch of blankets, because we knew it was going to be really cold. So I brought like 2-3 blankets, my other friend brought 2-3, like, my girlfriend brought, like, 2-3, and my guy friend brought, like, a full, like, 4 or something. And so we ended up just laying them down on the floor and, like, piling blankets on him, and we're like, this is your bed now. And I ended up buying at the dollar store some, like, hand warmers and stuff, so we could, like, toss them in, like, the bottom of our sleeping bags and stuff. So we just gave him a bunch of hand warmers and was like, here, you're warm now. And, you know, that was that, and we hadn't even gotten into our first fight yet. That was only setting up, so you could tell how wacky of an event this was for us. So I'm definitely gonna be, if you guys want, but I probably will do it anyway because I want to, because I find this actually really fun, is I'll definitely be doing more of these kind of, you know, silly story type of deals, because my first event had a lot, and I mean a lot, of stories. For some godforsaken reason, we just royally messed up a lot of the time. So I'll definitely be doing, you know, another, I'd say I got solid 2-3 videos in me, because the Halloween event, you know, it's kind of a big deal, and, you know, we had a fun time. Let me tell you, this is gonna be great. So I'll definitely be doing, like I said, more stories, and expect me to be doing a LARP box unboxing soon for the Fae box, because it is on its way. And yeah, I definitely got a few more LARP boxes in me, so I'll definitely be doing that too. So I'll see you guys later.